about the Biden visit. We're joined by Ruben Olmos. He's an international government relations consultant from Mexico City and also the managing partner of Global Nexus. And it's good to have you back, sir. Welcome to the show. Let me ask you this Biden visit, I don't see a lot of surprises in what was announced. They talked about education. They talked about establishing the sort of new trade discussion, if you will, between the U.S. and Mexico. What did you hear that was new?
Hi, Phil. Good evening. Thank you for having me again. Well, I think the visit of Vice President Biden strengthens once more the bilateral relationship. President Peña Nieto has been very clear since the beginning of his administration. He's trying to change the rhetoric that was used during the last couple of years with the former Calderon administration, which everything was about security. I think now he's moving forward and trying to bring in other topics like competitiveness, trade, commerce, environment, education. Those are new things that we're seeing in the bilateral relationship.
We've talked before on the show about the North American Free Trade Agreement, and what I'm trying to point out here is that the U.S. and Mexico already has a very strong working relationship, whether it comes to immigration or border control or for that matter, in this particular case, trade. What is the U.S. trying to establish with Mexico at this point specifically?
Well, Phil, let's not forget that we have at least $1 billion of trade on a daily basis between both countries. The leaders of both countries realize that the best way to compete in the globalized economy is to partner up and strengthen the future of North America. That's the only way they're going to be able to compete with Asia. That's the only way they're going to be able to compete with Europe and other regions of the world. I believe that we're looking is a stronger relationship. President Biden was in Mexico City with a large delegation of businesses represented through several chambers of commerce of the United States. And they were here meeting their counterparts. They're here talking about what are the issues that are affecting bilateral trade. How can we make our borders more efficient, more secure? And I think that's a new dynamic that's going to happen within the next couple of years. Mexico needs a strong partnership with the United States and vice versa.
The headlines all say that this meeting is to deal with issues beyond the drugs and immigration and security issues that face the two countries. But it's obviously a very big elephant in the room, and you can't ignore the fact that those are major issues for both countries to attack. Why do you think that there has not been more progress on on those issues from either country?
Well, Phil, let's try to understand here that the bilateral relationship between Mexico and the United States is strong, is mature, and it's a very busy relationship. When I say busy, I mean that hundreds of public officials on both sides of the border talk on a daily basis about different issues that affect both countries. I believe that the issue of security was brought up by President Biden privately with President Peña Nieto. I believe that there's still a very big interest of supporting Mexico through the so-called Merida Initiative, which is an annual fund being supported by the United States to train police force, to make sure that the judicial system in Mexico is strengthened. So I believe that although it wasn't publicly spoken, I believe that both leaders had to talk about it privately.
What about the issue of security? I mean, obviously you've got this recent storm that's gone into Mexico. That's causing some havoc for a lot of tourists, many of those from America as well. And there's been some criticism that perhaps not enough is being done to protect tourists when they go into Mexico. It used to be a very big destination. You remember people from Los Angeles would go there, flock there, and these days there is a very serious concern that not enough is being done to keep people safe.
You know, Phil, an interesting part of the high-level economic dialogue brought up by the United States Department of Commerce was to add the issue of tourism. The Minister of Tourism of Mexico, Claudia Ruiz Massieu, was part of the dialogue this morning with both delegations. And part of the idea here is to try to, again, sell Mexico on a better way. We want to attract tourism from border states, who obviously is a natural market for Mexico. A lot of Mexicans living in the United States on those border states want to come back to their country and be tourists. And I believe that the best thing to do is, again, change the rhetoric. You know, I think we need to talk about the good things that are happening in Mexico. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the Mexico moment and about how that could be, you know, slowing down a little bit. But I think that here we need to understand that President Peña Nieto has been doing a very good job proposing reforms that during the last 12 years the former presidents did not push. I think that the whole idea here is to change how Mexico is viewed in the United States.
Ruben Olmos, thank you as always from Global Nexus. We look forward to seeing you here in Washington. We now turn from Mexico to